Hey everybody, it's Cassie and Chris with SONday, Chronicles. This is day 1 of our 7 days of Christmas.
Look, I'm a snowflake.
Anyway, so this is day 1 of our 7, and this episode is called Understanding Fear. So we're going to talk about a bunch of things that have to do with fear, helping understand fear. So take it away, Chris.
Fear is the path to the dark side.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, I think where I kind of want to start with this one is we are fans of Star Trek. And
Star Trek.
They just, whatever episode we watched the other day, they said something about fear of words. And that really resonated with us, and we thought it was really interesting. So we kind of wanted to talk about fear of words, and that's where this whole talk got started.
Do you want me to set the scene specifically in the Star Trek?
I don't really think it's necessary for...
Okay. It's the Abraham Lincoln Star Trek.
So, fear of words. So do you want to kind of talk about that? Because you really thought that was interesting.
So many things have come out of this one. What happened was, over last week, I had, the more and more I become unplugged from the world, the more in tune I get with my intuition, and I just have ideas after idea for talks. And so I just started jotting them down, and I came to Cassie and I said, I want to do one talk on 7 different topics. And then she's like, let's do 7 different topics over the
course of a week.
So the first one and the most important, I think, to begin with is fear, because that's basically everywhere. And another thing that I noticed is one of the most astonishing facts about fear is that the alpha male or female, or the alpha person, the tough guy, tough girl persona, harbor the most fear. Through my observation of humanity. And
well, do you think that's because of holding on? That these individuals who are alpha come across that way usually are holding on to a lot.
Well, the default of a human being is not, it's the opposite of alpha male. It's the omega male. That's the more you go in, the more your unconditional love, the more your compassion, all of the things that you truly are. I think the alpha male persona is indoctrinated just like everything else.
Yeah, be superior, be number one.
Yeah.
That type of
But
thought.
observe tomorrow your day and the alpha male or alpha females in your daily routine, and observe yourself and all the other things. But I thought that was a fascinating thing, those who Billy Badasses harbor the most fear. And going back to indoctrination,
because they feel like, because I would think if you are in that alpha role, maybe it would be you're so scared of everything, so you put up a wall.
Yeah.
And it comes off as that alpha. Is that kind of what you...
Yeah. There's a that just having to, and I call it wearing a suit. You have a suit of armor that is masking all of your fear, and you got to put that motherfucker on every day.
And it's heavy.
Very. After a while, it gets, and that's what we talk about as far as like letting go of things or holding on to things. Yoda, getting back to Star Wars.
Hey, I'm wearing a Star Wars shirt.
You are?
Yeah.
Cool.
Anyway.
So we're all in the Star Trek, Star Wars.
Yeah.
we'll get back to fear of words in a minute. I have a couple questions just for everybody on that one. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. And it's so
Yoda
simple.
says that, right?
Yeah, that's Yoda. And it's so simple. Fear, and you see it. People,
it's a cycle.
People instill fear in others, and I think that's people instill fear in children.
I think, and that's part of feeling superior.
Yeah.
I think it kind of goes back to that. If you're instilling fear in others, you are trying to do something to control and feel superior.
Yeah.
Feel superior.
And again, why do people want to control other people? We answered that in the last one, I think. But it's a sickness. I think that is a sickness. And the easiest way, if you ever find yourself on another planet of harmony and you want to be the catalyst to throw things off, set a play in motion that separates the people and make them think that their choices matter. You'll be king of the whole entire planet. That's essentially what's happened here on Earth. But we are in the shift, and it's that is going away. But fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Just look at the world.
Yeah. And it's always been right in front of our faces.
Mm-hmm.
This quote, it's Yoda, it's Star Wars. It's the original Star Wars. So the messages are trying to get across in so many different mediums.
I've seen a lot of people viewing the newest one, and they love it. But
but that's what fear can do, not only damage to yourself, but leading to anger, leading to hate.
Yeah.
It's going to affect others now, not just you.
Another thing, one of the most fascinating during my thinking of fear, knowing that we were going to do a talk on it. Those of you that are actually watching this, and then you probably know, I guarantee you know somebody that feels superior. Like, there's 8 billion of us on the planet, but there are actual people who feel superior to other people. And
why is that? Why does someone feel superior? What is that within them?
I think it's fear. I think it's fear.
Yeah, I have to be in control.
Yeah.
I have no control of me, so
I think that it's like, if you truly think you're superior to another being, it's because of what? You either have more, or you're part of a group or a belief system that tells you we're the best.
Yeah. Because if you...
Religion, political parties, you see that every day. No, we're the best. No, we're the best. Which causes separation. Which causes fear.
All starts with...
Which causes hate.
It's the cycle.
Which causes anger, then which causes hate. And in most cases, in the political arena, a lot of people die. So that's the byproduct of the whole thing. Is it goes
of feeling superior. Yeah. It's part of that cycle of fear, hate. But that's exactly. So it seems so simple. You just have to not feel superior to others.
I want to talk about this before I forget.
But it's not that simple.
We're going to slide into fear of words real quick, because I'm going to say a word. I didn't tell you I was going to do this, but I'm going to say a word. I want everyone that's watching this to realize, and it's just one word, how much fear goes within you. Suicide. That word instills fear.
Uh-huh.
And
even if it's just a little bit, it's a little like... Ooh.
It's like, whoa, okay. Yeah. We've all thought about it. This is how the world is, but there are beautiful souls. Chris Cornell, Chester, just recently, Robin Williams, all of these beautiful souls who've chosen to leave. And then there are these tormented souls that run into a church and kill everybody and then kill themselves.
Yeah.
And both of those routes are suicide. And how I was going to tie this back into it is you have those souls who would not inflict pain on the other, yet they choose to take their lives. And then you have the ones who
That want to take
everyone out. And that's all based on fears and seeking outwardly. And this is kind of an extra onto the addiction thing that I was talking about in the last couple episodes. Help those seeking outwardly with an addiction, happiness, that fun, turn it back in. But I think fear's the big what is fear? It's a word, but what is it?
It's an emotion. It's...
Why?
I guess I've never stopped to describe fear.
Think about it.
Because if you try to define fear, you automatically think of your fears.
Cassie, if everything in creation is a fragment of God,
why do we fear it?
Why do we fear it?
I don't know.
Why do you fear God? Why do you fear another individual that was created just like you and inside them have that fragment of God?
Because they look different than me, or they seem different, or...
So you're saying it's a taught thing?
I think it is.
Yeah,
just you saying those things, I was like, well, why? Yeah, there is no reason to fear anything. But I think it's part of that whole indoctrination that we bring up every episode, because it's the way life is now.
Yeah.
Is indoctrination.
It's a big bowl of fear. And
you're taught...
It all begins at the early age.
Yeah, the way you handle certain situations, some with children, some decide to instill fear, others try to teach and guide.
Yeah.
And other, there's it starts early.
Real early.
And it's not... I'm trying to think of an example, because you're told something when you're little that may or may not even be true, and you carry that with you until you're an adult, and it comes out and you still have a fear of something that's not even true.
The devil.
It's, for example, a more serious thing, but...
I mean, that sounds like a joke, but there are grown folk there's a character that's what they believe that causes them to do bad, and that's just not accepting your own responsibility. But it's
fear latches on. You latch on to fear. I think it's more that you latch on to fear. An individual latches on to fear because they create that fear.
Yeah.
So it's all
fear of word.
But fear of words is the big...
But fear is a word.
Yeah. But people do... It's an interesting thing to think about. Fear of words. So a word... I'm trying to think of a good example. You say a word. We already gave one.
Yeah.
Suicide. But... Yeah, it's just...
so
a racial
slur.
What are we really scared of? What are we really scared of?
A racial slur.
Words, though, provoke feeling. And that's what it is.
Yeah. Fear of words. A Republican hates the word Democrat, and a Democrat hates the word Republican. Separation.
Yeah, labels. All based on labels.
All based on fucking label.
Yeah. But we are in a society that's surrounded by fear, but fear is caused by yourself. Yes, things can... You know what I'm trying to say? The system, the way it is in place now, is to promote fear. Everything.
Fear-mongering. Yeah.
It's everywhere. And so we're kind of... You have to be aware, I think. It all goes back to knowing yourself, because you have to be aware of yourself to notice...
You got to start with what you're afraid of.
Yeah.
And then
I feel like your fears really disappear. Fears are not a thing. The word fear, the feeling of fear is just a... It's something that's why we do these things. It dwindles away.
Yeah. For those of you that just joining us or whatever, we do these talks. I thought about it. I was like, why the fuck do we do these talks? I do them to heal. I do them to better understand. I do them personally to, I'm on that a lot, and I hope to inspire this if we say something while I'm healing and talking about all these things to better understand them, to better understand fear. Hope that it might spark a conversation with, somebody that actually watches it and carries it forward. Understanding fear of words. I don't know.
I just think really with fear, it's all around us.
Yeah.
But no,
becoming aware
of
yourself
and separating yourself from the fear being thrown at you. There's fear you create, and then fear that's kind of thrown at you, I think, in this world.
Yeah.
And I think it first starts with separating from the ones being thrown at you, but at the same time you do have to face your own fears and see, why am I scared? Why am I upset by?
Yeah, the easiest way to kind of pinpoint things is go to that one that kind of throws you off your zen, to when you see it.
It could be fear of money.
Yeah.
Like fear of losing money. That's a big one.
Yeah. It can be, shit.
But I guess what I kind of want to get at is, well, how do you lose your fear?
You look at it, you face it, and you go, okay, either I can do something to overcome this, or I can't.
Yeah.
And as uncomfortable as it may be, a recent example of, how do you put it? A recent example of not giving in to someone who's manipulating, and the craziest thing about this is manipulation without even knowing that they are manipulating. And we've had talks on the manipulation.
What does that have to do with fear?
I don't know. I'm just kind of talking out loud. Fear of facing.
That's where I really think the fear. What is fear? Or how do you get over your fears? You have to face it.
Face it.
And I think once you're less bothered by the fear being thrown at us when you realize everything is a fragment of God.
People especially, yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing. There's nothing to fear.
Yeah.
I don't.
There truly is not anything to fear.
And it's all a way of thinking, I think, and feeling.
Yeah, this is a good get into project your own reality. Most people on this planet project their fear.
And that's all they think about.
Yeah. So their thoughts become the reality, and their reality or their thoughts are fear. So their reality becomes very afraid.
Yeah. I mean, you can test this once you can start testing this at some point, because if you're thinking negative all the time, that thing happens. Like thinking about, I know people, I hear it every day about, well, this is going to happen. Oh, my tire's going to go bad. And then it does.
It does. Yeah.
Because all of your energy, because fear is a very strong
one of these days
energy. Fear is a very strong emotional energy.
Yeah.
And so if you're putting a lot of fear towards something, it's going to happen. Look at the world. Everyone's terrified of nuclear war. Everyone's terrified of this, of that.
Therefore, the circumstance to
that's what happens.
Jump off was actually manifest into the world.
And if everyone would start to manifest positively and for a better world for everyone, it would start to shift, not selfishly, selflessly.
It is shifting. Yeah, it is shifting for the selfless round.
That's a huge part of fear, because that's why the system throws fear at you, because you keep cycling fear out and it comes back in, and it's this huge controlling, debilitating thing.
Yeah,
I mean, fear kills people.
That entity that has actually made that happen, caused that separation, caused that fear, anger, hate, doesn't give a fuck, because they're back here. They're the bird. They've created two wings, and they're the shit rolls downhill. Let's say shit is money. They're filling their pockets full of money. Yeah, man, it's a crazy world.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's actually all I wanted to cover about fear. What about you?
It's a scary thing, but if you funnel it down and talk about it,
The only
it's
thing you
not
do
as
to get
scary.
over fear, something that's is either, I love what Chris, you said earlier, you can either, you have to face it, number one, and say, can I do something about this? With some sort of action, whatever it may be, or you can't. If you can't, you have to let go. I mean, in both situations, you have to let go.
You're gonna
But you have to face it as the first step, I think, and then you either do something about it or you don't, and then you continue on. I mean, it's just something that, and then the more you do that, it's just, you flow with life more, and they're not seen as fears.
There are no fears. Once the more you go in, the more you understand what one with the all means, or one love means, and the more you become connected with the all, the more those belief systems start to drop out, the more the fear starts to drop out. Again, it's not an overnight thing.
And look around, observe, because this is always what we were talking about. Observe, people are terrified.
Yeah.
All the time.
No, people...
They live in a state of constant fear.
Yeah, well...
Fear of, I'm not going to get home fast enough.
Yeah.
Fear of, I'm going to get in an accident. Fear of, I won't get this
what
deadline
Fox
done.
News is going to say next.
Fear that we're going to be bombed. Fear. I mean, it is nonstop. Everything is fear, 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 and it is life.
But
crushing.
If you're in that,
it's part
you're
of that,
part of it.
That you're part of the causing of the
You're
fear.
Manifesting that fear. If you live in the land of is, you just kind of observe it, and you're just like, well, goddamn.
Well, that's why the system that's in place right now feeds into that, because they want to keep everyone in constant fear, because then you
have control
of meek and scared and fearful people. They're terrified, so they'll listen to
But what
anybody.
they don't realize is the meek are going to inherit the earth.
Yes.
And that's happening right now.
It has many times in the past.
Yes. And the meek shall inherit the earth, because we're all going to learn to face our fear. No matter what they are.
But it's that whole thing, all you have to do is stand up. I mean, there's a lot of us, but it's all part of the system keeping us down in fear. So that's
the greatest part about this one, though, is that one of the coolest, like, imagine a king sitting on a white horse, riding with his head up like this. What's the one thing that king, all pompous and proud on his big ass white horse, what's the one thing he can't see because he's looking over everybody? The motherfucking cliff coming. And that's what's happening with this particular one, and it always happens that way. But
it's very
when you have your nose up in the air and you look down on people or feel superior to people, you do not see that fucking cliff coming, and it's steep. And
that person is terrified, but that's why they keep their head up.
Yeah, terrified
of themselves, therefore terrified of everyone else, because what you see in others is what you have.
I have another fascinating topic about a snowflake. Most people would consider me a snowflake, especially of the conservative type. So, cool fact about if somebody calls you a snowflake, snowflakes are, every single one of them are different.
Completely unique.
Just like your fingerprints. And it means you're an individual. So
it's the best compliment, I would think.
And so
I didn't know it was like a rude thing.
It's a rude thing. But I am a snowflake. I'm an individual.
Snowflakes unite. No, I'm just kidding.
And
that's not a thing.
Other than that, I think we're done. We got a show a day.
Face your fear. What starts with you, and do something about it or don't. That's, I think, something that is important to think about.
Stay afraid, or start to awaken. And manifesting, I think that manifestation of fears is the part
that's the
I
part
would want to come out of this, if anything.
It's really difficult to realize, I think, that, hey, my fear that I'm projecting is part of this collective conscience, that everyone is projecting fear because that's what we're taught, and that's what fear-mongering, all that, is actually just part of the problem. You're just feeding the cycle. The more people that lose fear, find their individuality, be a snowflake, whatever, the sooner that it starts to alleviate, because there's not so much fear energy going into the cycle.
I'm
You know
just
what I mean?
saying on an individual level, if you're manifesting,
Well, it's going to lead to that.
Yeah.
Fear-
Look
fear
at
of-
your life and see
yeah.
the things you don't like, and recognize how much energy you put into thinking about that specific thing happening, and recognize that it's your fault that it's occurring.
Because the
That
more
fear keeps
energy you
reoccurring.
give to it,
Yeah.
the more likely it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Or a
good
version
mantra,
of it.
Yeah, a good mantra is, I have no enemy.
Yeah.
I have no enemies.
It's very powerful.
I say it over and over again. I have no enemies, because everything is God. So why should I be afraid of anything? And check your fears, and start manifesting what you want instead of your fear. I think that's what you want, because
think
this
about what
earth,
you want
yeah,
and what you're grateful for having.
is a magical place, and you're a magical being with magical powers, and what you think you create, and the more you push that fear energy out, the more it gets with creative energy, and the fear actually goes away. You face it go away, go away, go away.
It's possible for every individual to do this,
Yeah.
and every individual's thought affects everyone else. And
Yeah.
so,
and we grow together into this fucking huge, buzzing, one shiny earth, and it could get pretty fascinating. Anyways, I'm done.
all right. Thanks for watching. And
We'll see you guys every day for the
every
next
day.
however many days.
Have a good night.
Bye.